won't live it forever, but I do realize that no one gives a fuck about you but you. It's a fucked up world in which we live. You gotta help yourself. No one cares about you. Everyone cares about themselves. No one cares about you. Everyone cares about themselves. No one cares about you. Everyone cares about themselves. No one cares about you. Everyone cares about themselves.
Yo, what is cracking? What's cracking? What's good, everybody? I love that song. That song is called Utopia Never Was, by an older hardcore band called Blood In, Blood Out. And it gives me the warm and fuzzies like every time. I just love that song. But I also I have issues with it. I don't think it's true. I think everybody cares deeply. And I think the world is broken. And I think because we have to go about our lives in a way that doesn't allow us to pursue this care, a lot of other silly things happen because we do care. And it is a fucked up world in which we live. But I think that song is wrong. Now, I think the core message of that song is that, the world is fucked up. And you do have to look out for yourself. And Blood In, Blood Out was, kind of tough guy hardcore, but also kind of posi-core. It was in this weird, they were in this weird kind of space for a while. A lot of the tough guy bands were posi-core. They weren't really the bully beatdown stuff. It was kind of in the mid 2000s, in the late 2000s, that the bully beatdown kind of jock mentality really, got its hooks into a lot of bands that before they were like tough guy stuff, but they were still kind of positive, PMA stuff like that, and now it's just about like violence and shit. A lot of these bands. That's why I don't listen to Hatebreed. Hatebreed is just kind of bully, beat down bullshit. Even though I think Hatebreed maybe used to be dope. I think they did kind of come out of this posi-core world. Bands like Terror, bands like Comeback Kid. That sounds like tough guy hardcore, but it all has like a really positive message, positive mental attitude. Bands like Blood In, Blood Out, Shockwave, Bane, stuff like that. Bane is older, but but yeah, I really do think Hatebreed shit the bed. I don't like Hatebreed. Jamie Jasta is a punk ass bitch. I'll fight you, dude. I mean, you'll probably beat me up, even though I'm younger than you, and I'm a skateboarder. It's not like I'm in great shape. My health is definitely not where it used to be. My health and fitness. But I could get back in shape. And I'll definitely fight you, dude. And I mean, I don't want to. Fighting's stupid. But I kind of just realized I'm talking shit about Jamie Jasta on the internet. So I guess I have to say I'll fight you or something. I don't know. No one's going to hear this that really cares anyway. So, I mean, if you do, I'm upset that you took this thing that meant so much to me, posi-core, positive mental attitude, and you turned it into, bullshit. Metallica concerts, beer festivals. I mean, I feel about you the same way I feel about Fat Mike. You took something that was, a real moment in my life, a real event, and you profited off it immensely. And you did, you were authentic, and you were true to yourself or whatever. And in doing so, you profited an awful lot, and you made a meme out of, something that meant so much to me the lesson in that is it's a fucked up world. No one cares about you. That's not true. I think the message in that is it is a fucked up world, and you can't hitch your identity to kind of movements that are comprised of a bunch of other people. People are not making art for art's sake. People are, doing this as a way to make a living while trying to remain true to something, to an event or whatever. But yeah, never hitch your identity to movements. Hitch your identity to who you are and what you believe in, and then participate in the movements as you see fit, as they enrich you in your own life and experience, and then as they allow you to express yourself. So I still get to have positive mental attitude. I still get to have hardcore. I still get to listen to all the posi-core bands I like. I still get to listen to, bully, beat down, tough guy hardcore too, and dance like an idiot and have fun doing it. Doesn't really matter. What I'm saying ultimately is that it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So no, I won't fight you, Jamie Jasta, unless you come try to fight me. Then I guess I would have to defend myself or whatever. But you won't, because you're similarly, you're an older guy. You're more mature. You understand. I'm not out here to try to make a video about why I would fight the front man of the band Hatebreed. That's stupid. That's not what this video is about. Anyway, this isn't even a video. This is something else entirely. This is a podcast episode. Yeah. But, I'm recording it in video form, and then I'm going to upload it later. So it's going to be a video. And it's also going to be available for audio only listeners as well. This actually is on some of the other apps. So I just upload it to Substack, and then from there Substack sends it out to I don't know. I don't check. I have no idea, but I do know that it's on Apple Podcasts because I got an email from Apple Podcasts, and I'm pretty sure it's on either Spotify or Pandora, whichever one is the popular one, because I got an email from them as well. So I upload it to Substack, and then they send it out to at least 3 places, because they send it to Apple, they send it to, I think it's Spotify, and then they send it to YouTube as well. So I'm recording it in video form, but it's not just a video. It's an audio podcast episode as well. On that note, shout out to the people who are watching the video. I hope you like the look. Once again, I changed my lens configuration. I changed the lighting up a little bit. So the lighting's definitely not dialed in. The lighting will change long term. This doesn't represent the final look. There is no final look, to be honest with you. But as far as the lens goes, I think I've settled on this lens. Now, a few months ago, I made a couple videos that were just videos on my YouTube channel where I spent, an hour or so talking about lenses and cameras and stuff like that. So if any of you saw those videos and you're watching this right now, see if you can guess what lens I'm using. I'll give you $20 if you guess correctly. See if you can guess the lens that I'm using here. I like it. I like the way it looks. It's a nice lens. And yeah, but now getting back to the podcast episode, thank you guys for watching if you're watching the video. Thank everyone else for listening if you're just here listening. Getting back to that, what's up? It's been a while. I went on tour, and then took a little break on the back end of that when I got home. And now I'm back, and I'm actually working on something super secret. I'm working on something right now that I can't talk about at all. So in the past, I have said that and then gone on to do the cheeky little, oh, look, I'm going to give you a sneak peek. And I've only done that a couple of times, and it's not like it mattered. because it was legit like a peak. But this time I can't do that at all because I'm afraid of what would happen to me if I violated this thing that I'm working on right now. I've told a couple people what it is. After I'm done, I'm sure I'll be able to talk about it. No, I'm confident I'll be able to talk about it once I'm done. But yeah, it's a really big project. And it's cool. So I'll be doing that. I recorded all day yesterday. I'll be recording all day today and probably all day tomorrow as well. If you can hear, if you're sensitive enough listener, you can hear my voice is a little ragged right now, which is not why I'm not recording. I gotta warm my vocal cords up before I actually start recording what I need to be working on right now. Hopefully my voice can handle it today, because I spent like 6 or 7 weeks not recording, like 6 weeks, and then now to come back yesterday I spent several hours just going, and it's not like it's super duper harsh. I am just for the most part talking, but yeah, talking for like 7 hours straight yesterday kind of put a strain on my vocal cords, and I can definitely feel it this morning. So I'm recording a podcast episode. Now, on that note, there are some changes coming to the podcast soon. I don't know if I need to announce them yet. It's not like anything important. I'll announce it, quote unquote. I'm going to change the name of this podcast. This podcast started out when I started it a few months ago as the Negativity Hour. Now, the reason I settled on the Negativity Hour is because it's a convenient thing. Negative Nancy, Negative Nance. Nance is my name. Negative Nance. I'm kind of a pessimistic person. Some people in my life have told me that I am, quote unquote, negative, or grumpy, or a Debbie Downer, or whatever. Now, I don't agree with those people. I think those people just don't pay enough attention to me to really, know much about me. I don't think I'm a negative Nancy or a Debbie Downer. I think people who think that just don't pay enough attention. But it is also true that people have said that to me throughout my life. So whatever, they're probably right. I'm probably wrong. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, I'm aware of it. I'm able to kind of take it with a grain of salt and also joke about it. God, my throat does hurt. But anyway, so Negative Nancy. I was like, yeah, that's cool. That works. But also, I really like negativity in this kind of Hegelian sense. Now, if you don't know what I mean by that, you can read Slavoj Žižek's For They Know Not What They Do. You can read Todd McGowan's Emancipation After Hegel. You can read or listen to Todd McGowan's Embracing Alienation, a recent book that he just released, and was just released on Audible, and was narrated by your boy on Audible. Or, you can just go to YouTube or whatever podcast app and look up Why Theory and listen to Todd and Ryan on multiple episodes kind of discuss German idealism and Hegel. Or you read Zizek's Sublime Object or Less Than Nothing. When it comes to negativity, I mean negativity in this kind of sense that Zizek and McGowan really, I think, kind of polish where it's like Hegelian negativity that has to do with the dialectic, but it's not this dumb fuck dialectics where it's like 1 + 2 = 3, synthesis, antithesis, thesis, antithesis, synthesis. It's not that dumb kind of formulaic, arithmetic, rote dialectics unfolding thing. It is like a really proper, really robust way to handle contradiction and kind of negativity. And Todd and Zizek bring it into alignment with Lacanian negativity. So you got Hegelian negativity and you have Lacanian negativity. And I like that a lot. And I really do think that's important. It's one of the most important kind of concepts is negativity in this sense. Hegel's bagel. Whoa, my headphones just disconnected for no reason. I hate it when my computer does that. Anyway. Oh, dude, is that why? I think that's why. Anyway. Negativity. So I was like, oh yeah, okay. So I think negativity is one of the most important concepts. I like it a lot. I like to bring it to a lot of different things, a lot of different conversations. For the last few months, I've been thinking a lot about ethics and an ethical kind of framework that is in part largely predicated on this type of negativity. And I'll be writing a lot more about that soon, hopefully. You can see a little bit of it in ethical processing units right here on Substack. And if you're not on Substack, if you're on one of these other apps, go over to Substack and give me a follow 3 Billion Nances, subscribe, whatever, and read ethical processing units. If you want, if you're watching the video, there's a QR code on the screen right now. That'll take you right to my Substack. But anyway, so when I started this podcast, I named it the Negativity Hour. And it was kind of a throwaway thing. I think, the first couple episodes, I said that, the negative Nance, the Negativity Hour with negative Nance. I don't know. But whatever. It was and has been and is called the Negativity Hour. Moving forward, it's not going to be called the Negativity Hour. The reason for that is the name of my Substack is and has been 3 Billion Nances. That's also the name of my YouTube channel, 3 Billion Nances. And it's kind of confusing. I was talking to people over the last few weeks about doing stuff on my YouTube channel or my podcast. And it was like, oh yeah, I want to do something on 3 Billion Nances. Or I was like, oh, I want to do something on the Negativity Hour. And it was just weird. Too much to think about, too much to juggle when I'm trying to talk about it. So since YouTube is already called 3 Billion Nances and the name of my Substack is 3 Billion Nances or TBN, then the name of this podcast is going to be, moving forward, just the TBNcast or the TBN podcast or the 3 Billion Nances cast, because it's just easier. So yeah, that's all. That's the news that I was talking about with the podcast. Nothing exciting, nothing really important. But yeah, moving forward, that's how it's going to be. God, my throat hurts. I actually think I'm going to make a tea and just do nothing for a little bit. It's early in the morning and I need to get in the mode of doing stuff. I'm not in the proper mode to do stuff right now. So I'm actually going to pause recording for a bit, take a little break, and then we'll be back. But yeah, just wanted to, do something. And this is what I'm doing. And I'll finish this episode. I'll get it up, hopefully today. I might not, if I come back and I feel better, I might just get right back to work. Because like I said, this is a big project and there is a time crunch. I think I need to have it done by this Friday. And today is Tuesday. So yeah, anyway, cool. We will be back shortly. Bing bong, bing bong. Okie dokie. What's cracking? I'm back. What's up? I took a shower. My neighbor's dog. I don't like my neighbors on that side of me. They're not cool. And also their dog is not cool. Excuse me. I just burped. They're not the coolest people in the world, and their dog is also not the coolest dog in the world. And their dog barks sometimes, and when he goes crazy, look, it's not sometimes, it's all the time. This dog is always barking. It's absurd. And last week, one of the kids and I were out back. After I got home, we were chilling, and we were out back. We were just kind of kicking it, and we were talking about their dog. Their dog was going nuts, and I didn't freak out. I was talking to the dog. At first, it was me alone, and I was like, "Hey, man, you don't have to do all that. Like, we're neighbors, we're homies. Like, it's okay that I'm in my backyard. Like, his dog just goes nuts." And I was like, "It's okay, dude. Like, you don't have to yell at me. I'm allowed to be back here." And he just kept going for like hours. And so eventually I was like, "All right, dude, shut the fuck up." And he didn't, of course. Doesn't work like that. But then I went inside, or I did something else, but the kid stayed outside and she was out there, and she similarly was like, "Oh, it's okay, puppy. You don't have to yell, blah, blah, blah." And then eventually she started yelling too. And then I think the neighbors heard that, because like for a week after that, I didn't hear the dog at all. Like, the dog was good all of a sudden. So I didn't get and we were talking shit too. We were like I was like, "Why the fuck do you have a dog if you just leave it in your backyard all the time, all day long, every day? What's the fucking point of having a dog if you're just going to leave it outside and let it bark and never fucking do anything about it? Like, what's the fucking point of having a dog?" And the fucking kid was like, "Yeah, same thing." So I think they heard us, or I thought they heard us, because for like a week, that dog was not out back barking at clouds. So I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Like, they heard us and they corrected their behavior. And the reason we haven't talked to them is because they're not friendly people. I've tried to talk to him, to the dude, the man of the house. Tried to talk to him a few times. I've never seen the lady, and one of my kids goes to school with their kid, and their kid's just fucking weird. So they're weird people. I've definitely tried to engage contact with them, and they're just not having it. Or else I would have been like, "Hey, dude, your dog goes crazy. Like, I like record stuff in my office at home. I work from home. I need to be able to record stuff. So, like, is there something else you can do with your dog?" Because their backyard is like right there. Like, I'm like 10 feet away from their dog. Like, on the other side of my wall, there's like a 3-foot gap. So I'm like 4.5 feet, give or take, 5 feet maybe, from the wall. The wall's 5 inches, give or take. And there's like 3 feet between the outside of the wall and my backyard wall. And then the backyard wall is like 4 inches, whatever. And then there's the dog going crazy. So it's like less than 10 feet. The dog is right there. And there's a window right there too, in my house. Not the cinder block fence that we have that separates our yards. But there's a window. So it's just kind of nuts. Like, when their dog goes crazy over here in this corner of their backyard, I can't record anything. So I would have been like, "Hey, man, like, is there something you could do? Like, can you bring your dog inside?" This is Arizona, dude. It legitimately gets up into like 110s, 120 even. Like, it's already been over 100 degrees this year. It's April 15th. And last week it hit triple digits, which is crazy, by the way. That usually happens in May. But we set a new record. Once again, it seems like every year we're breaking records for climate. Oh, funny thing about that. You know, there's millions of people who think climate change is a hoax. Every year, consistently, for the last 2 decades, we've been setting new climate-related records for the extremes. Extreme temperatures, extreme storms. Remember Katrina? I do. I definitely do. But yeah, there's people who think it's all about like space lasers and stuff, and it's all about politics, and it's all about, oh yeah, political. It's all just political. Climate change isn't real. There's people who legitimately believe that. You guys are just denying like the truth. I don't know, in a weird way, but I understand why people do that. I understand why people cling to conspiracy theories. I'm not trying to hate. It's just frustrating. Every year we see evidence of climate change, yet people just double down on their whole climate change is a hoax thing, and it's frustrating, but I get it. It is what it is. But it's crazy, dude. If you have pets and you live in Arizona, and dogs specifically, but other animals as well. But if you're a dog owner or an animal owner, and you don't like let your dogs in the house, like that's monstrous, dude. I legitimately, this doesn't make me happy to talk about. I had a dog that died from the heat. I had a dog. I was working a lot. And it was just me. There was no one there to help me. And the dog got locked out of the house while I was at work, and I had no idea because this was in the era before Ring cameras and smart homes and everything being hyper-connected, although I wouldn't know now if my dogs were locked in the backyard, but it is impossible for them to be locked in the backyard now. That's not true. Can't say it's impossible. Anything's possible, right? It is extremely unlikely for them to be locked out in the house I'm in now. Although back in the day, I also didn't think the dogs getting locked outside was a possibility, but whatever. Dog got out back, couldn't get back in the house all day long. It was hot. It was Arizona, and I legitimately think this was in like September or October. Like pretty sure it was in October. Dog was out back all day long. I got home from work. Dog was dead. Fucking sucks, dude. And that shit happens to a lot of people. And a lot of people just don't care. A lot of people are like, yeah, that's the dog. The dog doesn't come in the house. Look, I understand some people don't want a dog in their house. I support it. You know, pet ownership is kind of a weird fucked up thing in the first place. Like sometimes when I think about it, feel guilty about the fact that I like own living creatures, in quotes own, because I don't like think I own them. I don't treat them like property. I treat them like members of the family. But it is still weird. Like pet ownership is a weird thing. So I'm not here saying like, oh yeah, dogs are the bee's knees, and if you don't have a dog, something's wrong with you. Although I have thought about, I can't imagine not having a dog. I can't. I don't think. No, I know. There's only one time I've ever not had a dog by choice. Can't have dogs in jail. Jail doesn't count. So excluding the few times I've lived in jail, and it's not like I lived in jail for very long either. But as far as like living goes, I've never lived in a house or an apartment or a place without a pet, without a dog, specifically a dog. Now, I've had a few cats in my time. When I was younger, not by choice. Cats make me sneeze and they smell funny. In general, this is not true. This is not a blanket statement. I'm I'm not saying this is a necessary thing about all cats. I'm just saying in general, cats make me sneeze, and they tend to smell and or make houses or apartments smell bad. So I'm not a cat guy. Although some cats are cool. I've definitely kicked it with some cool cats. Ryan Gosling is my homie. But yeah, I've always had dogs, and I can't imagine not having a dog. But if you are a dog owner or an animal owner in general here in Arizona, let your dog in the house, dude. That's insane that your dog is outside all the time. It's not cool. And this is true all over the world. I think if you have a pet, the pet should be in your house. If it's a type of animal that can't be in the house, then I don't think it's a pet. And I think you're tripping, and I think you should return that animal to the wild. Or if you can't return it to the wild because it's been broken by socialization, find a sanctuary and give it to a sanctuary or a rescue or a retreat. I don't think people should keep non-domesticated animals as pets. But I think if you do have a pet, it belongs inside your house. I even go so far as to think that pets should sleep in their owners' beds. But I understand that just doesn't work for probably most people. And I understand that. I mean, there are even some people who think like, no, that changes the power dynamics and you have to assert yourself. And once you let your dog on your bed, your dog has cucked you and they're now the new alpha and this and that. That's not true, dude. Look, I did animal behavior for years. I worked with the Arizona Humane Society to develop their pit bull training program. It's like 17 years ago. I'm not saying I'm an expert behaviorist, but I do understand a little bit more than the average bear about the way at least dog and canine behavior works. And that's not the way it works. Dogs are not that type of creature that once you let them on your bed, the game is over forever. It's also not true, like the whole alpha wolf thing, like alpha and beta, that's not true. I know it's a fun meme, and I do it all the time. I like to make memes. Like Winston. You can't see him right now because I changed the lens and everything. But my dog Winston, the English bulldog, Sir Winston Churchill is his proper name. He, what the hell was I just saying? Why am I talking about Winston? Oh, Sigma. Yeah, here in my house, we like to joke that Winston is a Sigma. Now, I hope that most of you listening don't know what that is. I'm sure a lot of you probably do anyway, because here on the internet, we are all stupid and we all know what all these stupid memes are. But anyway, the Sigma thing was like a meme on the alpha thing. I actually thought it was really funny when it started, and then it got done to death and it got, overdone. It's not funny anymore. But hey, that's what parents are for, right? Parents do that. Parents overdo it. So the Sigma thing has become something like a dad joke here at my house. So Winston is the Skibbity Sigma, and Charlie, the French bulldog, who you can't see right now, once again, because I changed my lens. She is the Rizzler. She's the Skibbity Rizzler, and Winston is the Skibbity Sigma. If you guys know what that means, I hope you're laughing along with me. They're just jokes. Something I do with the kids. If you don't know what they mean, you can look it up. It might entertain you. You should also look up Skibbity Toilet. That's amazing. There's so much. Skibbity Toilet. Yeah, there's like a YouTube series that's like hours long that like goes into all the lore of Skibbity Toilet. It's amazing. I love it. My headphones just disconnected again. I got to find out why that happens, why that sometimes happens. Oh, you know what? It's probably in the app. It's probably like a power save function in the app. But I don't know. I gotta figure out what's going on. I don't want my headphones to randomly disconnect. I guess I could take them off. I don't need them to record this video. I'm not listening to anything right now. I was just listening. I look silly. I look silly with no ears. I look silly in general. God, I hate the way I look, dude. Oh, you know what? I do want my headphones on because I want to use my soundboard. It's been a long time. Shouldn't have left you without a short rhyme to step 2. Boost all my rings in my fat gold chain. Grab the mic like I'm on Soul Train. Can I get hit up for copyright? For that? I don't know. Probably not, dude. Probably not. Let's see. Let's go to my soundboard. Hey,
guess what, everybody? Yeah.
What's cracking? We're back, dude. It's been a minute. Aww. It's been a minute, though. We're back here. Once again, this is no longer called the Negativity Hour. This is the TBNCast, or the TBNcast. I think it'll probably be the TBNcast. I think I'm going to make a logo for TBN. That's been something I've been wanting to do for a few months. When I changed the name of my Substack from Nance's Stack to 3 Billion Nances to fall in line with my YouTube channel. When I changed it to 3 Billion Nances, I changed the name to TBN because 3 Billion Nances looks long. And I was like, I'll just make it short, TBN, but it stands for 3 Billion Nances. It doesn't really matter. Branding is not my passion. But anyway, I've been wanting to make a logo for the TBNcast for months, or for TBN. And I think I'll probably do it after I finish up this top secret project I'm working on. I will most likely do that and get that changed to get that uploaded, and then I'll change the name of the Negativity Hour. Hold on. Oh shit. To the TBNcast. Hell yeah, because that's fucking dope. That's dope. What is this? Oh, that's my old theme song. I forgot I had this. Oh, is that even coming through the recording? Yeah, it is. Okay. Oh, but it's doubling. Shit. Yeah, here. Oh, I got this song on the pad too, dude. This song goes so hard. I love this song so much, son.
What's up? Fresh is our turn, baby.
He sounds like a you problem, dude.
All right, yeah. Okay, so hold the fuck on.
All right. Anyway, we're done doing that for now. Anyway, but going back to animal behavior, the alpha thing is a myth. I can't remember where it came from. You could Google it and you could find out for sure if you don't believe me, and you shouldn't take anybody's word as gospel on the internet. You should always at least double check, if not triple or quadruple check. You should check everything. But yeah, for sure, look it up. The alpha thing is not real. That's not how canines work. It's not how dogs work. But there are people who are all like, yeah, my dog does not sleep in my bed because power dynamics. And I'm like, yeah, that's not how that works. But I fully understand people who don't want their dog in their bed. Dogs are dirty. Dogs are smelly. Dogs are lesser creatures. So I fully understand and support the choice to make your dog have their own bed. Or sometimes some dogs really love sleeping on the floor. I'm just saying, in my ideal world, all dogs would sleep in beds with humans. But it's not my ideal world. It's the real world. And it is what it is, and it's no big deal. But it is definitely a big deal if you own a pet. And that pet is not in your house. That's just absolutely crazy, dude. I can't fuck with people who don't let their dogs in their house. That's insane. It's insane and it's cruel and it's inhumane. Anyway, so I'm working on this super secret, top secret project that I can't talk about. Yeah, that sucks. Can't talk about it. Taking a break. It's actually getting hot here in my office. I need to turn the fan on, but the fan I have a fan over here on the floor, which I can turn up to 4 before it gets too loud to interfere with the recording. Although I tend to keep it at 2 when I'm doing projects that matter more than just a me thing. I turn it down to 2 just to make doubly, triply sure. And then I have a fan up there on the camera, or on the thing that's holding my camera. But that's too loud. I can't even turn it on the lowest setting. It's too loud. So I can do it like when I'm streaming or if I'm recording for myself. But if I'm recording for work, I can't turn the fans on. It sucks. So it's actually getting kind of hot in here right now. I think it's time for lunch. But anyway, yeah. What's up, everybody? It has been a while. It has indeed.
It's been a long time.
We're fucked. We're fucked. We're fucked. We're fucked.
Shouldn't have left you without short arms. Anyway, dude, what's happening, everybody? Wing wong, bing bong.
Okay, I'm gonna stop doing that. Yeah, dude. Going back to you should never take anybody's word for it on the internet. This is true. You should always double check, at least. You should, in general, do more than just double check, but you should always at least double check. Now, that's not to say you should be suspicious of everyone, right? You should be like in this paranoid mindset of like everyone is trying to lie to you and everyone is wrong and no one knows anything, and you shouldn't adopt this or this like postmodern mindset of like nothing is true anymore. I can't find the truth. Like you can find the truth, or you can find for what passes as truth in the world we live in today. You can find what functions well enough as truth to be taken as truth. So you definitely don't need to be in this like hyper suspicious, hyper skeptical, hyper paranoiac mindset. But you also don't need to be overly credulous. So you should always be aware that everything is, fallible. Everything is up for miscommunication, misunderstanding, misinterpretation. We are all fallible beings. No one is perfect. No one is all-knowing. But there are like institutionalized truths with a lowercase t that we can rely on to kind of construct a world that is not just functional for us, but that is kind of functional for everybody. So it's like when it comes to like truth, I think you really do need to take like a utilitarian point of view and say like, well, what leads to the most functioning overall as opposed to the least functioning overall. I don't even know, man. I'm getting in the weeds. I don't want to get in the weeds. I just wanted to go back to that and say like, double checking. It could look like a Google search, although Google doesn't always have the truth. It could look like a Bing or DuckDuckGo or an Ask Jeeves or Wikipedia, or it can look like, grabbing a book and looking it up. Or it can look like talking to someone or some group of people who are informed about like a thing or a topic or whatever. Or it can look like you being educated, you being informed, and you having like a resource of knowledge, like a vast pool of knowledge to draw from. And if someone says something that doesn't comport with your knowledge or your awareness, I don't know what it looks like. I'm not making prescriptions here, although I did make a prescription. That's why I'm like doing all this now, because I realized, I made a prescription. Let me, mess around in that world of prescriptive statements, and walk back the prescriptive statement, I guess, because ultimately I'm not out here trying to make prescriptive statements. I'm not that kind of guy. But it is true that you should definitely not be overly credulous. You should definitely be aware of the fallibilism of everything. Now, some of you might be aware of the fact that I'm big into Descartes. And you might be saying, well, if you're big into Descartes, then why are you so like tentative about talking about like doubt and skepticism? I'll say to that, like, the way that Descartes has been memed, he's been like taken and misappropriated, is not, what I get from Descartes. Now, again, I do think radical doubt is a good thing. But I don't know, just to say, like, the way that radical doubt has been taken and kind of turned into a meme does doubt itself a disservice. Like this, like, super skeptical radical doubt. It is a suspicion. It is a paranoia, and that's not, at least what I get out of Descartes. I would say that's not what Descartes is saying, not what he's doing, not what his project is. But yeah, that's kind of how some people take it. But, I think the people who listen to this are kind of aware that it's not that simple, and there's a lot of nuance. And I also hope that anyone listening to this will get a chance to read why this matters to me, hopefully soon, as I talk about, bringing Descartes and Levinas together. I think these two guys are at the bedrock of an ethical framework that I think, at least, for now anyway, I think it's the bee's knees, and I think it's dope. And so I've been thinking about it a lot, been trying to write about it, and I hope I will have some success as I move forward into the future, and I'll actually be able to write about it successfully and feel good about it. But yeah, I think that's it, man. Bringing Descartes together with Levinas and, I don't know, probably Hegel and definitely Marx. And then a bunch of like cybernetics and systems theory guys, Luhmann and Wiener and Claude Shannon. I had some interesting insights a few weeks ago thinking about Claude Shannon and Ralph Landauer talking about information theory. I think I want to write that piece, but so I thought up a short story. I don't want to get into it right now. Some part of me does, or else I wouldn't be bringing it up. Yeah, so I've been thinking a lot about information theory. What is the difference between information and data? Data is the physical encoding of information. So information is the symbolic instantiation of meaning, and data is the kind of physical instantiation of meaning. Because when you record data, it's done in a physical medium. So it's either written on a piece of paper or, chiseled into a clay tablet, or It's on a hard drive. I don't have a hard drive that I can grab right here. Hold on. Yes, I do. It's in a hard drive. Now my camera's not focusing. There we go. Well, it doesn't matter. This is a podcast. It's on a hard drive. You know, a hard drive is a physical thing, and it exists in the world. You can touch it. It's tactile even. Although it does get a little bit more abstract, you know, when you talk about electronic data, because it's not an actual representation of the meaning or the information. It's literally just like a little magnetic field that's either, you know, pointing north or pointing south. Or it's a groove in a record, and it's, you know, a high peak or a low valley or whatever. So it's a representation versus a artifact. I don't know. But that's data. Like, data is the physical recording of meaning, and information is the kind of the symbolic side of that, like what language is made up of and what the meaning means to us as subjects. So there's data, there's information. These are two sides of meaning. And then, like, so what is data? Like, it's this physical thing. Does that mean, I don't know. My story idea is really, really interesting, I think, anyway, and it has to do with energy and matter conservation. It has to do with entropy. And I think it's fun. So I need to actually sit down and write it. I'm excited to do so. But speaking of short stories, I just published one, not yesterday, but 2 days ago here on Substack. And it was fun. It was a good one. I've been thinking about this story for a while. Several months ago, I started writing. Hold on, I got to take a drink of my tea. Let's do this. Oh my goodness. That's horrible. You could tell I'm a little rusty. It's okay. It is what it is. Anyway, a few months ago, I started writing a story about a guy who lives 2 weeks in the future. So he's out of joint with time. He is experiencing the future. So he lives in a physical space, but he shares physical space. What the hell? I need to not check notifications while I'm trying to record. I'm trying to turn the fan up, dude. Okay, yeah, I turned the fan up, so you might hear it now. So he shares physical space with the future and the present at the same time. Or you could say with the present and the past. Or you could say with the past and the future. Yeah, you know, these things are relative. So he's occupying the same physical space, but different temporal space. So he's in two places at once temporally. Or I guess you could say he's in two places at once physically, and I don't know. But I started writing it a few months ago. And then this weekend, so it was last week, and then over the weekend, I was thinking about time and theories of time and, like, what does it mean and how does it work and what's it all about and blah, 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 this and that. And I think largely I've been content to just say, like, yeah, I believe in, like, some version of the block universe. And just kind of left it at that and never really, expounded further or never really even went deeper. But then I was thinking about time, and I was like, no, like this standard block universe theory where time is another physical dimension and you can like break out of it and move through it the same way you move through space. I was like, yeah, that's not really, I don't believe that. That's not real. It doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. I think people who go for like multiple physical dimensions, they're either really poor communicators or they're just fantastical thinkers. I'm not satisfied with just adding more physical dimensions. When it comes to space, we have physical dimensions. We have 3 physical dimensions, even though I think it's silly to think in terms of 3 dimensions. The reason we talk, the reason we use the language of 3 dimensions is because we tie space to mathematics. Now, this is appropriate, I think. Like, math is a language that's useful for describing space and time. But like, math is not ontology. Math is, just a language for talking about things. And for doing things. Math is a very functional language. So tying your understanding of like your phenomenological world, your life world, your daily experience, tying that to the language of mathematics, I think is silly. I think you're losing out a ton. So I think it's silly to think in terms of 3 dimensions. Like, I think we have the physical dimension. I think we have the temporal dimension. I think we have the ethical dimension and the symbolic dimension. Like, it makes more sense to use dimension in this way of talking about, I don't know, fields or like bodies of experience or worlds, the physical world, the symbolic world, the temporal world. It makes more sense to me anyway to use dimension in that way, where like the physical dimension is, up, down, left, right, back and forth. Like those are directions you can move in the physical dimension. Now, I'm not saying that like scientists and mathematicians and big serious thinkers and philosophers get this wrong. But in general, when we tend to talk about this stuff colloquially, I think we get it wrong. And I think we're doing like a misunderstanding or a miscommunication. So, yeah, just saying, yeah, we can just add another physical dimension and that fixes things. That fails. That breaks down. It's silly. So I don't think like the standard block universe interpretation or whatever is a good one. So I was like, well, what does that mean? Like, obviously I like Bell's theorem and like non-locality and non-realism. Like, these are things that are pretty evident. Like, it's pretty evident that like non-locality and causality, like or broken causality, quantum non-causality, whatever, Bell's theorem, like that's pretty true. Now, I definitely can't explain it the way I would, to a regular person. I can't do it in math either. I can't do it with exhaustive language. I barely understand what it means. On that note, the thing where people say, well, you need to be able to explain it to a 3rd grader, and once you're able to do that, then you understand a thing. That was what the hell is his name? Richard Feynman. That was a thing that Richard Feynman actually said. Richard Feynman actually said, you need to be able to explain this the way you would a 3rd grader, and if you can't do that, then you don't understand it. Richard Feynman is a sensational guy. He's kind of like the Neil deGrasse Tyson of the 60s, 70s. He is a celebrity. A lot of people love him. A lot of people look up to him. He is not the bee's knees. He's just a silly dude who said silly things. He did a lot of really cool stuff, but he also did a lot of really silly stuff. I don't think you need to be able to explain things the way you would to a third grader. I think you need to be able to explain things the way you would a homie, a friend, a colleague, a coworker. And that's a lot different than tying it to a third grader, right? But anyway, Bell's theorem. Basically, like, there's this thing that I have long called superdeterminism, or there's a superdetermination going on, and a lot of other people call it this too. And it's a very astute way to solve the problem, like the observer problem. So you have like Sally and Doug, and they're doing experiments, and Sally observes a particle in New York, and she observes the spin on the particle in New York. And Doug is on the Martian space base, and he is doing the same experiment with Sally. And because they have particles that have been entangled, when Sally observes the spin on her particle, we'll call it A, that determines the spin of Doug's particle. We'll call it B. And it doesn't matter, like the temporal timeline between these observations doesn't matter. So it could be nearly instantaneous. It could be Sally observes it at noon, exactly noon, New York time. And then Doug observes it at exactly noon and 1 second. And it's true. A determines B. It's this thing that seems to work instantaneously. It's this thing that seems to work even retroversively or retrocausively. And it just seems to work this way. And you can either take some view where there are tachyons or axions or something like faster than light particles. Well, sure, maybe that can explain the instantaneous or the seemingly instantaneous thing. But what about the retrocausal stuff? Like, you could have Sally observe her thing at noon, New York time, and find the spin. And it's up, and then we'll say B is necessarily down. If A is up, then B is necessarily down. Sally finds up in A. Doug does the observation at 11:45. So he does it before Sally, but he doesn't check. So the machine does the work, but he doesn't actually do the work. So it's not like the conscious observer thing. There are people who think like conscious observation has to do with it. So Doug clicks the button on the machine, and he gets the info, but he doesn't check it. So nobody knows until after Sally does it. So Sally sees up on particle A in New York at noon, and then Doug gets that message. We'll say it's 30 minutes later because it takes time for the phone call from New York to Mars. And then Doug checks his readout. So he's at like 12:30, and he's like, oh, look at that, it's B. And she's like, yeah, I found A. Isn't it funny how that works? But really, Doug's machine did the checking before Sally's thing. It gets weird. I'm not good at explaining it. But retrocausality comes into effect as well. And you can't explain retrocausality with a tachyon that's faster than light or an axion that's faster than light, unless you're going to sit here and say that, well, once you break the speed barrier or whatever, the light speed limit, then you start going backwards through time, like Superman did. In Superman, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, one of those silly movies. Superman flew so fast that he made the Earth spin backwards, and it actually turned back time. I think that's silly. I don't see how or why it works that way. It's not satisfying. Now, it could be true. We've learned time and time again that the way the world works is very counterintuitive. The way the world works is sometimes very, very silly. So finding something silly is not a good enough reason to think it's not true. Nevertheless, I don't think it's true. I am not satisfied. I want another solution to this problem. So superdetermination is this kind of thing that says there's just some law of nature. There's just some universal law, something to do with the structure of time-space itself, something to do with the structure of the cosmos, that there's only so many options that things can do, things can be. And it's not the case that these things are communicating, instantaneously or even retroversively backwards through time. It just happens to be the case that these things are locked into a structure or a framework that determine they will always necessarily be what they are found to be. Now, when we stumble upon the information, when we stumble upon the hidden meaning, and we get the information and we encode it physically somewhere as data, it seems to be the case that these things are breaking the natural laws, right? They're traveling faster than light. It's happening instantaneously. It's actually going backwards through time. I think it's more likely that rather than there being weird fucky magic happening, there's just some law of nature. There's some fundamental structure in the universe that we have just not discovered yet. Maybe we never will discover it. But there's this thing called a superdeterminer. Superdetermination. I think it's probably far more likely that superdetermination is at work somehow. Well, what would superdetermination be? What would superdetermination look like? And I'm actually I'm playing around with calling it hyperdeterminism, because I also do believe I am a compatibilist. I believe in free will. Now I also believe that if there are hard limits, and these hard limits could be nearly infinite, but not quite infinite, and because they're not quite infinite, we can have this type of superdetermination. So even though things can still be like determined in a way, I also believe in free will, or at least the hard compatibilism. Like, I am a hard compatibilist. Like, things could be determined. But I believe in agency. I believe in contingency. I believe in contingent necessity. So I do believe that, well, I guess that's it right there. Contingent necessity. That is a type of superdetermination. Like, once a thing happens, then it changes the future, and it changes the potential, the field of potentials moving forward into the future. Anyway, so I'm playing around with what does that look like? What does that mean? This and that. I think it looks like a giant universe-sized Sudoku puzzle. Like, once you, and I've never played Sudoku, so I don't know the rules. I only know of it. I've never actually played it. But I think it's a grid. It's 3x3, and like there's like a couple boxes filled in, and then you have to like fill in the rest of the numbers in the grid, fill in each coordinate, using the digits, 1 through 9, and like no numbers can be repeated. Every square has to be filled, and every square has to equal 9 or 10 or something. I don't know. I've never played Sudoku. I just know that it's a grid, and there are coordinates, and once you fill in multiple coordinates, you determine the rest of the coordinates. So I think the universe operates in that same way, at least locally, where you can have like local events in one coordinate that determine local events at some other distant coordinate. And they don't have to be near each other in time. They don't have to be near each other in space. They can be laid out, near the fringes of the grid, and maybe this grid is nearly infinite. I don't know if I believe that anything is infinite. I don't, maybe not. I don't know. That's another question entirely. But we'll say this grid is near infinite, or near enough that for our feeble human brains, like, we cannot comprehend how large. So it makes sense to call it infinite. But like at the ground base level, when you come back to truth, like, of course it's not infinite. It is limited, and there are hard limits. We're just so minuscule on the cosmic scale that we'll never encounter the limit. So the limit itself can be like this noumenal thing where phenomenologically we have a phenomenological infinity. But yeah, in real life, at the end of the world, there is an actual end of the world. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. I've gone too far afield, too far into the weeds. I'm going to take a lunch break. I'm going to post up for a little bit and chill. And yeah, oh, my throat's fucked, dude. I can hear it. I probably sound like shit, but I can definitely hear that my throat needs a rest. So anyway, everybody, thanks for checking out the TBNcast. We will be back soon. I will see you soon. I will hear you soon, or you will see me and or hear me soon. And yeah, lots of great things coming your way. Yeah, stick around. We'll see you soon, folks. Peace out, yo. Thank you.